Nothing worth doing has ever been easy, because trying and doing the things that are hard has a way of proving its worth. And at Valvoline, we've spent the last 150 years proving ours. Like Valvoline Full Synthetic Motor Oil, specially formulated to deliver our best performance and protection to keep you and your engine moving forward. Valvoline, 150 years under the hood.
Now, everybody's panicked over Hillary Clinton. Oh my God, she had a fainting spell. She has pneumonia. So we have to do backup plans. Now, I think that story is overblown, but apparently a lot of you disagree. And you think, oh my God, whether you're a right-winger, that's it. I knew it. She's sick and hence mentally unstable. I don't know how you make that logical connection. I don't get it at all. If you are progressive, some of you are excited. Oh my God, here we go. Here comes Bernie Sanders. And now, I'm going to be very clear about what I think should happen in the very, very unlikely scenario that she steps down. I'll save that for the end. First, let me tell you, what is that scenario? How does it work? Well, the guy who brought it up is Don Fowler, former head of the DNC. And by the way, during the Clinton era. So he is very connected to the Clintons. So I don't know why someone in Politico is saying these things. But he says, now's the time for all good political leaders to come to the aid of their party. I think the plan should be developed by 6 o'clock this afternoon. He said that yesterday. That is the plan to replace Hillary Clinton. Now, okay, very important to be clear on this. You cannot replace her if she doesn't want to go. That is not a thing. That is not an option. You might want it to be an option, but that's not an option. It's not how it works. So the only way that she steps down is if she steps down. If she is too ill to go forward, something else worse happens to her, God forbid, or she says, hey, you know what? I'm too sick. I'm going to voluntarily make this decision to not do it. But it's on her. She's already the nominee. She's the one who gets to decide. You want to change those rules, change them the next time around. But those are the rules today as we stand today. And now Fowler goes further and he says, it's something you would be a fool not to prepare for. Those are some pretty strong words. Of course, the Clintons yelled at him and he had to walk back those comments a little bit today. But he made them. And unless Politico is wildly lying, and I don't think they are, so apparently some people inside the Democratic Party are at least getting ready for the possibility that Hillary Clinton might become too ill to continue. I view that as very, very slim. But okay, now let's talk about what happens if that is a scenario. Politico explains, if Clinton could not physically continue her candidacy, she would have to voluntarily cede her nomination, creating a vacancy at the top of the national ticket. If she did, party procedures give the chair of the DNC authority to call a special meeting to vote on a replacement nominee. Now, party chair today is Donna Brazile. Of course, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz stepped down, and so Donna Brazile would have to call the meeting. And then, normally, the DNC members can vote by proxy. In this case, they cannot. They must show up. So, the locus of activity for all those political questions, they explain, would then move to the 447 members of the Democratic National Committee. Now, you don't need all of them to be there, but you do need a majority of them, and they do have to show up to actually vote. If that unlikely scenario were to happen, it would be an unbelievable mess. Because that's the Democratic Party establishment. Who's the person they should put in? Now, not only if you're his supporter, but if you have any rationality or logic at all, the correct answer is obvious. The person who came in second and almost beat her, Bernie Sanders. Do you think the Democrats are going to do that? I find it inconceivable that they would even consider the options. Half the articles talking about this don't even mention his name as a possibility. Oh, okay. So then Don Fowler says, and there's a coded message in here, and I'll break it down for you. He says, there should be a concerted, unified effort on behalf of the President and the Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate, and from the officials of the DNC as well. Now, he goes on to talk about more about how they have to be unified. Like, what would be ideal is if they had a unanimous vote. You think they're going to vote unanimously for Bernie Sanders? No. That's the establishment saying, hey, we wrap this thing up right away, and then we yell at all the other Democrats and progressives in the country that bow your head. We have to be unified. The most important thing is to be unified. Now, I already told you who your new leader is going to be, so don't come around here talking about democracy. You bow your head. Okay. Nearly inconceivable that they would pick anybody but Biden. But the only other option, I think, is Kane, because he's the VP on the ticket. So those are two establishment guys. Now, look, I've got a soft spot in my heart for Joe Biden. I like him a lot. I even tweeted out the other day. I rewatched his speech at the DNC. I liked it so much. We own the finish line. Come on, we're America. Okay, God bless Joe Biden. Now, here's my answer to whether it should be Joe Biden. Hell no. I could go stronger. But no way, no way, no way. You will not get unity. You will not get unity. No way. So, let's hope the scenario doesn't happen, because in this scenario, Hillary Clinton is very, very sick. I don't want that scenario to happen. And yes, you'll have a mess on your hands. Nobody should root for anybody to be sick. But if, in the very unlikely scenario that this goes forward, and the Democrats try to put in an establishment figure and totally ignore Bernie Sanders, there will be hell to pay. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a right-winger. I'm not talking about anything physical. I'm talking about political hell to pay. So, will progressives then be more disenchanted with the Democratic Party? Of course! Of course they would be! You yelling at them to fall in line is not going to help at all. You trying to get everybody in the media to yell at them is not going to help at all. If this scenario happens, and you go, yeah, whatever, we don't need Bernie Sanders, we don't need his supporters, who cares about stinking democracy, and who else was in the race, and got 46% of the vote, and who did this well and won all these states, I don't care. The Democratic Party is going to pick an establishment person. You are asking for a world of political hurt. And then it's almost guaranteed that the Republicans would win. But you see, part of the reason I say this is because people in Washington don't believe that. We're never going to get it through their thick skulls. They think in their infinite arrogance, no, of course they'll fall in line. They'll do what we tell them to do. Otherwise, we'll yell at them harder. Not how it works. Of course it's got to be Bernie Sanders. In that unlikely scenario, how many times do I have to say it? Brian Fallon, by the way, spokesperson for Clinton, says, I think by the middle of the week, she'll be out there campaigning as aggressively as ever. I actually think this story about her health is overblown, and maybe I'm wrong. That's my take on it. That's my conclusion based on what I see, and you might have a different conclusion. That's my conclusion. And I think that the Trump people love this, and they're blowing it out of proportion with the help of the media. But if this scenario happens, if it ain't Bernie Sanders, there's going to be political war.
Help keep TYT independent by becoming a member. TYTnetwork.com/join.
Here we go again. Violence at Trump rallies. So this happened a lot during the primaries. It is now beginning to happen again in the general election. Donald Trump is holding a rally. There's going to be protesters. Security is going to come, but that's not going to stop a Donald Trump supporter from taking a couple of slaps, swings at some of the protesters. Here, let's watch. So there's a couple of disturbing parts to this. So one is violence. So you saw the guy the whole time he had his fist clenched, like ready to go. And the protesters are like, "Are you kidding?" It seemed like they were nonchalant about it because they didn't think the guy's actually going to hit them, but he did. He did because he's a Trump supporter and he's been primed. And to me, the most disturbing part is nothing's ever done about it. It's in fact encouraged. So then let's go to Jeremy Diamond, who was on the scene. He said the man stayed the entire rally. he was not arrested, the guy who actually took the swings. Asheville PD hasn't gotten back to me yet. So the supporters who exercised their freedom of speech, gone. And I get it. Look, you can't disrupt the rally forever. You know, they did what they did, and then they were escorted from the building. No problem, okay? They have the right to say it as Americans to protest, but they have a right to be removed as well, because you got to go on with the rally. So all that is perfectly fine if security shows up. But there is an assault. It's on camera. You remove the guys who got assaulted, but you did not remove or arrest the guy who did the assault. And the guy who did the assault not only on camera, but right in front of you. Right in front of security. Well, if you keep on doing that, what's the message you're sending? Go ahead and hit him. There won't be any consequences. There are no rules anymore. It's so ironic because Donald Trump constantly talking about how we don't have rules in this country anymore. We don't have laws. We're going to bring back the rule of law. Well, that's not the rule of law. If you assault someone, you go to jail. That's the rule of law. And they're actually taking that away and replacing it with violent anarchy. So, to give you a sense of how much this has happened in the past, between February 29th and March 14th during the primary season, at least 52 people were charged in connection with physical altercations at Trump rallies. That is a whole hell of a lot of violence. And then, has it really been encouraged by Donald Trump? If you don't remember from back then, this is what he said to supporters who were looking to hit protesters. He said, quote, "There may be somebody with tomatoes in the audience. If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously, okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees." That is a United States presidential candidate encouraging assault by his supporters. The only thing missing there was the guy's shirt looked to be olive, should have been brown, and then you'd really complete it. We can't have this. Local police, you've got to do a better job. I understand you want to remove the protesters, no problem. But you've also got to arrest people who commit assault on tape. Otherwise, you encourage further violence and anarchy. And this is what Trump does when he doesn't have power yet. Imagine what he does when he has incredible power. When he has more power than anyone else on the planet. If you're thinking, it'll be okay, I don't know what you're basing that on. We have a lot of evidence that it will not be okay, and that he's perfectly comfortable with that level of violence from his supporters. I don't know what your evidence is, but these are scary times, and this is a very scary candidate who doesn't mind violence as long as it's on his side. Okay, I have an update for you guys. Later in the day, good news, Asheville PD has issued a warrant of arrest for the person at the Trump rally who slapped and swung at the protesters. So thank God, the cops doing their jobs in Asheville. The person you saw on tape hitting the protesters does have an arrest warrant out for him now. So great. That is wonderful news. That's exactly what the cops should be doing their job, figuring out who assaulted people and actually arresting them.
Did you guys know that we are only accountable to our members? These are the people that help keep our show independent and help prevent us from getting censored from corporate interests. If you want to help keep TYT independent, just go to tytnetwork.com/join and become a member.
Studies show the average attention span is 8 seconds. Good thing the redesigned Kia Forte comes with available autonomous emergency braking.
Bill Clinton's getting interviewed by CBS News, and they're going to do him a giant favor. Charlie Rose is the guy interviewing him. I'm going to show you a clip here that seems innocuous until I tell you the part that they left out.
That video that was taken. You wonder if it's not more serious.
No,
than dehydration.
She's been, well, if it is, it's a mystery to me and all of her doctors. Rarely, but on more than one occasion over the last many, many years, the same sort of things happened to her when she just got severely dehydrated.
Oh, okay, well, that seemed normal. I mean, if you're watching, you wouldn't have noticed anything at all. But they actually took out half a sentence in the middle. Let me read you what he actually said. Well, if it is, it's a mystery to me and all of her doctors. because frequently, well, not frequently, rarely, but on more than one occasion over the last many, many years, the same sort of thing happened to her when she got severely dehydrated. Now, yes, that is slightly problematic if you're trying to say, hey, this is no big deal, and this doesn't happen that often. If Bill Clinton accidentally says it happens frequently, yes, that will raise some alarm bells. My guess is, after the interview, Clinton or his team went to CBS and said, can you take that part out? Because he didn't mean it. And now, implicit in that is, if you'd like another interview with Bill Clinton ever in your life or your existence, you will take that part out. Now, a couple of times, people who no longer have power, Bill Cosby, some other politicians, you'll see them on tape saying, hey, can you take that part of the interview out? And the reporters will not take it out. What you never see is when they do take it out. And the conversation that they had behind the scenes where they were asked to, and they did. So, CBS, that's a terrible mistake. You could have him clarify later. You could do an update to the story. There's a million things you can do. But he said it, you leave it in there. Because, by the way, when you take it out, it seems worse. Now we found out about it, and everybody's going to think, there it is. And you see, the liberal media helping the Clintons cover it up. And in this case, that's kind of true. So don't do that. But forget the politics of it. You're CBS. You're supposed to be a news organization here. Do your job, report the news. You had an interview with the guy, run the interview. And then he can have all the caveats he wants. You could help him say the caveats. Hey, after the interview, he clarified. Okay? But do not edit the video to help him, because that isn't journalism. Terrible, terrible idea. There's so much more Young Turks content if you're a member. Great shows like Aggressive Progressives, Old School, you'll get post games, all ad-free, plus the whole 2-hour show. I know what you're thinking. This is huge! And it kind of is. So come join us. TYTnetwork.com/join.
Using a USAA credit or debit card with Android Pay makes everyday errands more convenient. Setup is simple, and purchases are quick and easy with just a tap of your phone at more than 1 million locations across the country. USAA with Android Pay. Get started today.
God, nobody cries more than Donald Trump. So now he's worried about the moderators, and so he's going to cry about that. Listen to how many times he says it's unfair. Let's listen.
This is no different than the great Bobby Knight, who I'm a big fan of, and he endorsed me, and boy, did that mean a lot for Indiana, because I won in a landslide after getting Bobby Knight's endorsement. But Bobby would do numbers on the referee, and toward the end of the game, they would just sort of, maybe subconsciously, they'd give him the calls. And, he was a master at it. Well, they're doing the same thing now. The fact is that they're gaming the system. And I think maybe we should have no moderator. Let Hillary and I sit there and just debate. Because I think the system is being rigged, so it's going to be a very unfair debate. And I can see it happening right now, because everyone's saying that he was soft on Trump. Well, now the new person's going to try and be really hard on Trump just to show, the establishment what he can do. So I think it's very unfair what they're doing. So I think we should have a debate with no moderator, just Hillary and I sitting there talking.
Yeah, anarchy. That'll work out really nicely. Okay, so here's Donald Trump, first of all, saying that the Democrats are gaming the system and giving the Bobby Knight analogy. No, you just described exactly what you do. You cry and you try to work the reps. And by the way, that's literal. Like when they went to go select the moderators, it was a cry fest from the Trump side. No, that person's unfair to me. That person's so unfair to me. No, I only want guys who play super softball with me. And so they intimidated NBC. They got the exact kind of town hall they wanted out of Matt Lauer. And so now he's working the refs again. And what does he do? It's so unfair. The debate hasn't even happened yet. How do you know it's unfair if it hasn't happened? I know they're going to be unfair to me. They're so mean. This is the bitch that you guys are so proud to support. This little crybaby who every time you tweak him a little bit gets triggered. Oh, it's so unfair. It's so unfair. Why is he going to do it again?
You're definitely going to debate.
Oh, yeah, sure, I'm going to debate, but I want to get the terms so that I'm satisfied with them. No, I want to debate.
All right. So, and when you debate, you don't care who's in front of you, but you want new faces.
I'm okay with having, to be honest with you, I'm okay with having new faces. I like some of the old faces, too, but I'm okay with having new faces. But I don't want to have people that are unfair. When you look at what Candy Crowley did.
Mary Catherine Hemp, very fair to you.
I've never gotten along with her now.
With Mary Catherine?
Never gotten along.
Oh, well, we'll have to check in on that.
No,
okay.
She is not a fan of mine, and I've never gotten along with her.
Okay, so I'll ask her about that.
I don't know her, but she says only bad things. So let's cross her name off.
Okay.
No, I do not.
You can put mine on.
I am not a fan.
Oh, wow, what a strong leader. You guys must be so proud to have this baby as your leader. Sad. Mary Catherine Ham is a conservative. No, not good enough. Not good enough. Unfair to me. I need a sycophant who's going to just bow their heads and let me walk all over them. We can't have Candy Crowley. He said it in the middle. You know what Candy Crowley did? She corrected Mitt Romney on one fact. Just one. That was a cardinal sin in the mainstream media. If you do your job even once, you're a goner. Candy Crowley no longer on CNN. No way they're letting her moderate a debate. The Republicans literally said after 2012 that was a main mistake they made. They let Candy Crowley moderate a debate, and she corrected one fact. And by the way, they don't dispute the fact. She's right. She was right. They're like, God, we had a person here in the media who actually once did their job and actually presented facts to the American people in the middle of a debate. Unacceptable. Together we can change the media, make it more representative of you and not the powerful. Come join us. Make a difference. TYTnetwork.com/join.
What if there was a bank that didn't just ask members to save, but also helped them save more than $345 million in 1 year? That would be a different kind of bank. That would be USAA Bank. Find out more about free checking from USAA Bank.
Mike Pence is going to get asked a simple question. David Duke is going around, former head of the Klan, saying that, he's supporting you guys. Now, for a while, Donald Trump equivocated about whether he even knew who David Duke was or wanted his support or not. Later, he said, oh, yeah, I had an issue with my earpiece. And, yeah, sure, David Duke. No, we don't want his support. And that's what Mike Pence is going to say in the beginning here. But wait till then.
There are supporters, and you know this, there are some supporters of Donald Trump and Mike Pence who, like David Duke, for example, some other white nationalists, who would fit into that category of deplorables. Right?
Well, as I've told you the last time I was on, I'm not really sure why the media keeps dropping David Duke's name. Donald Trump has denounced David Duke repeatedly. We don't want his support, and we don't want the support of people who think
like you called him a deplorable. You would call him
no, I don't. I'm not in the name-calling business, Wolf. You know me better than that.
What does that mean, you know me better than that? You can't call the former head of the Klan a name? It's perfectly happy to call other people names. You should see my interview with him. David Duke, I interviewed him earlier in this campaign season on TYT Interviews. The guy, yeah, there's the racism, no question about that. Yeah, he's still holding on to that. There's the bigotry, no question about that. But the main thing you get out of an interview is, what an unbelievable, raging anti-Semite. Go watch that interview. It is mind-boggling how anti-Semitic David Duke is. And that's not from the past. He now says, I was part of the Klan, the Grand Wizard, long time ago. Well, how about your opinions right now? I know, I talked to you. They're atrocious. It's okay to say that guy's opinions are deplorable. If you can't stomach that, what you're really saying is, that's a lot of my supporters. I don't want to call them names. It's not about David Duke. It's about people who look at David Duke and go, oh, yeah, that's my boy. And you don't want to offend them. It's not like this is an accident. He had a chance again at it. He's on Fox News this time. Let's see what he says this time.
A left-leaning group is out now with an email saying that you didn't call David Duke deplorable. Donald Trump, I have repeatedly denounced David Duke, and we've said that we don't want his support, and we don't want the support of people who think like David Duke. And yet the media continues to scamper after this. And the question that I got on another network was, do you call him deplorable? But I get it. They wanted me to start using terms that Hillary uses. You've known me a long time. I'm not a name caller. I don't play that game. But we have denounced David Duke repeatedly. We'll continue to do that again.
Okay, look, to be fair to them, you're seeing the videos yourself. They say they denounce it, they don't want his support, but at the same time, they won't go as far as deplorable. Now, what message does David Duke and his supporters get from that? Do they get, oh, he denounced me, that's a shame, I can't believe they betrayed me? No. He heard loud and clear what was said there. I am not going to call you deplorable. In fact, David Duke comes out with a statement afterwards and says, it's good to see an individual like Pence and others start to reject this absolute controlled media. And there, he's biting his tongue a little bit, because if you listen to the interview I did with him, he'll tell you who controls the media. He says it all the time. The Jews. That's what he says. Go watch it for yourself if you don't believe me. It's on youtube.com/TYT interviews when I interviewed David Duke just a little while ago. And so he's saying to Pence, attaboy, don't let the Jews tell you what to say, okay? Don't let them call me deplorable. Now, he also takes ownership over it. He sent a tweet, David Duke did, called the Deplorables, and it's got Trump and a bunch of Trump supporters, and it's got David Duke in it. So he's like, yeah, and it says on there, anti-racist is code word for anti-white. Trying to protect the white race, that's all David Duke is doing. That's what he's been doing his whole career. All about the white race and white race only. And of course that means Christian. Hillary's team puts out a tweet saying, if you won't say the KKK is deplorable, you have no business running the country. But apparently a lot of people disagree. That's why it's a tight race. And that is even scarier. Now finally I want to go back to David Duke, because he says, the truth is the Republican Party is a big tent. I served in the Republican caucus. I was in the Republican caucus in the legislature. I had a perfect Republican voting record. It's ridiculous that they attack me because of my involvement in that non-violent Klan 4 decades ago. Again, go and listen to what he says today about how the Jews control everything, let alone what he thinks of the blacks and other non-whites, and how they're criminals, right? And they have criminal and violent tendencies. Go watch the interview. So, now, the part that I really took away from this is, he's right. He did have a perfect Republican voting record. This isn't just about Mike Pence or Donald Trump. It's that the Republicans actually vote with the likes of David Duke all the time. So their voting record is more important than anything else, and any kind of name that you want to attach or get offended by or get triggered by or whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, their voting record is deplorable. And it's not just about David Duke, and it's not just about an outlier like Donald Trump, because he isn't an outlier. That's how Republicans have been voting this whole time.
Did you guys know that we are only accountable to our members? These are the people that help keep our show independent and help prevent us from getting censored from corporate interests. If you want to help keep TYT independent, just go to tytnetwork.com/join and become a member.